Hello, everybody. It's Footy Talk with Wado, Woodsy and Maroon. A big weekend of rugby league. The Origin teams are in. These two blokes are Origin legends, so let's get their thoughts. Wado, welcome to you.
Maroon, how are you, brother?
I'm okay. And Aaron Woods, my dear friend, how you going, old mate?
Always better for seeing you, great man.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations on both your teams winning over the weekend. Let's talk Origin. Cody Walker gets a reprieve. Well, not a reprieve. He just gets called back again after a few years. Gutherson on the bench, AJ Brimson in for Queensland. Corey the Freckle Horsburgh makes his debut. Let's start with the New South Wales team, boys. How do you see it?
I'm a bit bewildered, to be honest with you.
Right.
Look, very happy for Bradman Best. You know, I think he's been a good young kid with a lot of promise for quite a while, but you know, he's probably had his best game on the weekend against a below par Bulldogs side and find his way into an Origin jersey. You know, I thought Katoni Staggs could have been one there. You've got Matt Burton, who's not even in the squad. And then Walker's been playing some really good footy, but I don't know what Freddie's outlook is on this side. Are we playing for the future? You know, are we trying to blood players? Because if that was happening, I would have put Nicho Hynes at 5'8". You know, he only got 10 minutes in that first Origin. It's not knocking Cody Walker at all, but he's a little bit older now, and I'd be playing for the future by chucking in Nicho Hynes there and giving him that chance to play 80 minutes at Origin. And the other one for New South Wales is the bench. Just a bit.
Yeah, well, only two recognised middles on the bench, Isaiah Yeo and Jacob Safidi. So
I don't understand with Gutherson and Robson.
Yeah, well, it's hard because you normally have a utility who covers hooker or a forward type.
I reckon Robson can do that, Wader.
Yeah, but you have three middles.
Yeah,
generally.
I probably would have maybe like Gutherson's been playing outstanding.
He's got to be a little bit unlucky to be
Spencer Leniu.
Yeah,
I think Spencer Lenu's a perfect prototype for off the bench.
I think it's just how do you obviously if there's no injuries, how do you get Gutherson out there? It's the same sort of Nicho Hynes, with the Nicho Hynes situation. So do you only have him on there purely for injury cover?
Well, he might just in case we lose a centre again.
Yeah, well, it's hard to because then so the middle rotation will be Isaiah Yeo and Jacob Safidi. So they'll have to pull one early and then put one back on. Really,
that's it. Yeah,
100%. Unless they want,
they'll get big minutes out of Jakey. He can play 80.
Yeah, but he's only just returned from that calf. He's only had one game or two.
Yeah,
games.
yesterday was his first game back. 2 days ago was his first game back.
80 minutes
in the middle. Yeah in Origin, that's a tough ask.
They might be. You pull one front rower off and make the change and you get him back on before half time.
I just thought they would have had Leniu instead of Gutherson. And having Lenu's for the future as well.
Yeah, no doubt Cody's been playing great. I gave him man of the match on the weekend on the game that I called.
He was outstanding.
But it's just, you had it like Nico's there game one, you have an opportunity to get him out there on the field, play 80 minutes, see what he actually has at that level with an eye to the future. But they've gone against that. So a lot to play for the Blues. Not many. I think there's only been maybe 4 or 5 clean sweeps in the history.
Well, we played in what people call a so-called dead rubber. Remember
we
Gow's
won on
last
the bell,
game?
Yeah, Jenko scored the try. That was the one.
That was the missed huddle.
That was the famous.
Yeah.
Woodsy went viral for it.
Yeah,
missed
it's
the
been
huddle.
doing the rounds again lately.
Yes.
Well, everyone loves it when Woodsy has a bit of a slip up.
I've got a few in me. I was slip up on the weekend.
What about the one where at Magic Round where you come flying out of the line?
That was what you call a glitch.
Right.
A glitch.
A glitch in your brain.
That just shows you what our pre-game stuff was at the Dragons. It just wasn't working for me.
Yeah. Are you gonna? I feel in the last couple of podcasts where we're starting to get into the roots of what actually happened at the Dragons. Like it's starting to come out little bit by little bit.
I'll save that for a luncheon.
Okay. All right. Whatever.
Yeah.
Phones off, doors closed.
Woodsy, Wado, and Maroon luncheon.
Right. Can I end this discussion about the Dragons by asking you a question?
Yes, you can, Anthony.
Since you have finished with the Dragons,
yes,
have you had any phone conversations or texting with Anthony Griffin?
No, I never really had it when I was there either.
Okay. See, a little bit's coming out again there, just saying that.
But I've had a lot of phone texting from one Sean Timmins.
Right.
Asking a lot about you, Anthony.
Is that right?
And your old days down at the Gong.
Oh, look, I could tell you a thing or two about Timo.
Oh, wow.
Now,
he said it's something to do with a red or blue thing.
Oh, yeah, I can tell you. Next time we do a sports
maybe
luncheon.
this is for a luncheon as well.
This is absolutely for a luncheon, this one. Now, the Queensland team, AJ Brimson comes in. Obviously, Kalen Ponga not available. Reece Walsh suspended. I think we all think AJ Brimson is a good choice and he deserves it.
Oh, he's a heck of a player, AJ Brimson. He's quick. He moves fast. He's one of those players who's just always in the game. When something's happened, whether it's the bounce of the ball, picks up the loose ball, finds an intercept, or he's just always influences the game in a positive way for his team. He's just a little pocket rocket. It's unfortunate he's had a bit of injury troubles over his career because
worst timing for him too.
Yeah. So he probably would have had he's already played Origin, so he's been in and around that level for a while now. But it's good to see him back. And Corey Horsburgh, I don't think there's anyone who's not going to say he doesn't deserve a shot after his last 18 months at Canberra. He's really grown, particularly this year when they had some injuries early on. He was playing on an edge at one time.
He still is now, goes into the middle. He plays big minutes, and he's just a wholehearted player. You know the thing about him as well, Wade, he was quite ill-disciplined when he first came to grade. He gave a lot of penalties away, a lot of 6-agains. You remember that incident against Parramatta where he cried walking off the field and give the bird to the crowd. But geez, see, it's not just probably that moment, but the next couple of years, he's really honed down on his skills and what he does best for that team. Mate, he's a leader down at Canberra now.
He's a competitor.
Oh.
He still doesn't mind mixing it up.
He's a Queensland player.
He got a little bit of a
Royce Hunt.
set two of Royce when we played. And
anyone would get in Royce Hunt. He'd go backwards any time.
I feel like we had he was in a little bit of a incident a couple of weeks ago too. So he still likes to get into.
He loves the tough stuff.
Yeah, he loves that competitive nature of the game, and he doesn't back away from a confrontation.
He's a bit like Dale Finucane. Like, he loves that fly out and put a big shot on out of nowhere and just changes the intensity of the defence.
I tell you who was actually probably, he's in the squad, but unlucky not to play. He's Hopgood. He's been killing it, mate.
I don't know he can't do anything else.
Yeah.
That's just a perfect example of a player taking their time in reserve grade, learning their craft. Unfortunately, the path to first grade and regular playing was blocked in front of him because of Isaiah Yeo.
But what they've taught him as well, and he's playing like you don't really notice his ball skills, and he's got one of the best late offloads in the game. Yeah, unbelievable.
On the tip sheet, Hopgood offload. Yeah.
We had it the week before.
He still manages to get him. So
or Hopgood show and go at the line. He still did it against us and got a try.
Yeah, well, he might be the buy of the year because that's his first year at Para, isn't it?
Yep.
We did have a couple of nominations. He could be another one. All right. Well, look, last game, people can say it's a dead rubber. Say what they want. Wado, Woodsy, I feel like it's going to be 3-0 Queensland.
Well, I hope not, as a New South Wales fan, for sure. Like, we need to salvage something, in Game 3, a result for the state. Freddie's picked a team which he thinks can get that done. There's quite a few changes. We'll wait to see how they officially line up. Do you think there could be a late change with the bench?
I reckon it
maybe
will be
Lino,
I reckon Lino could be a late in. But, for me with this game, Wade, I just want to see the effort areas a lot better. I heard you speak on a podcast about when Stephen Crichton made that line break and there was so many Queensland numbers in the picture. You look at every time that Queensland put up a midfield bomb, Xavier Coates would come flying in and just make it awkward for Tedesco at the back. Then when we'd put a kick up, Moses would put a nice midfield bomb up, but our chase just let us down. It wasn't until Liam Martin got on the field, showed a bit of energy, got down there and put Reece Walsh under pressure. And that's when we started to get a couple of balls bounce our way, but it was too late in the game. I think we need to just, that's what Origin is. You're not going to get so many big moments, but when you do it, you got to create it from yourself. You've got to have the players in the picture, and we just haven't done that this series. It's just like those little areas, that's where Queensland have outdone us, and that's why they're up 2-0 in the series.
Well, I do like the change of Cam Murray.
Love it.
Start the team.
And
Martin. Martin on that edge for sure.
You know someone else? Colin Matangi, he's been thereabouts for quite a while. I think he's going to go to another level at Origin.
Yeah, he, for sure. He's, that's South's back row.
Big fan of
they're
him.
missing Jai Arrow, but they're always dangerous. But I feel like Cam Murray will give us a little bit more punch starting through the middle. Obviously, Jakey back in the team, that'll help us defensively. But you're right, we do need to see, as a New South Wales fan, we're hoping to see a performance where, all those, you're just proud of the effort of the team. And, even if you get beat,
you can
it's
just
okay to lose
we had a fair
if they had a fair income go and were in the game. And it just seems like in the opening 2 games of the series, we just haven't been close. That's why it's hard for the New South Wales supporters to have that connection with the team because it just feels like we haven't really been even close in the fight. But, like I said earlier, I think there's only been 4 or 3 whitewashes in Origin history. So certainly the players will be aiming, to get a result here in Sydney because
You don't want to
We
be
need
whitewashed.
We need an
Yeah.
injection of energy.
We need
in the New
something
South
going
Wales
in
team,
next
that's
series.
for sure.
And the other thing for me as well is I love the addition of Campbell Gillard and Jakey Trbojevic in the middle. Like, as much as I love Payne Haas, he's not a physical defender. He's great the best ball runner in the game as a middle forward, but defensively he just makes his tackles.
He's carrying a bit of injuries at the moment too.
He's carrying that Brisbane side the way he plays nearly 70 minutes in the middle. You know how hard it is to play in the middle week in, week out. And you remember the game one when Reece Walsh just charged the ball back and he set the tone for Queensland. He just found his front, ran straight at Haas and just took him on. Whereas this game, if you run straight at Jakey, he's going to action fold you in half. And then Campbell Gillard's going to try to take your head off. And that's something I like about Reggie.
Liam Martin, Kamikaze out the line.
Cameron Murray's got a great tackle technique too. So the forwards that we've got this game, I'd love to just see them stamp their authority early on, because if they give the likes of Tuolangi, Val Holmes, obviously AJ Brimson with Reece Walsh being out, just that little sniff of opportunity early in the game that they're poking their nose through, it could be a long night.
You know who I do feel for? Young Stefano from the Tigers.
Oh, mate. I can't.
That's the pick. So he's left out of game 3. This is when you're talking about like an eye to the future.
Exactly.
If they identified him in game 2 as a possible player that they wanted to move forward with into the future, you debut him in the cider, up at Suncorp.
For 14 minutes.
He played for 15 minutes.
And he had 6 carries. Every carry found his front, and we had an opportunity off the back of. And defensively, he was good while he was on there. I don't see why he wouldn't be like a perfect 10-15 either side of half time.
Well, you'd think he'd only improve.
Exactly.
Here down in Sydney, moving forward again, and
but the only thing, Tim Waito,
moving to the future. Looking to the future.
I reckon the Tigers have probably let him down there a bit. The last couple of performances they've had, they're probably looking at him going, 72-0.
Yeah, but you can't.
I know,
young
but
bloke, a young front rower's feet. It's a more of a club thing going on there at the moment.
Burton's an out-and-out centre. He got Dalium Centre of the Year a couple of years ago, and they bring in Bradman Best, who has one good game leading into Origin.
Let's talk a bit more about Bradman Best, boys. That probably was as much a shock for him, would it have been, as to anyone. I mean, we all know potentially what he can do, but we've been waiting for it for a few years now, and now he comes out of nowhere to get in the Origin side.
Yeah, well, I think Freddie had the Pathways teams for a number of years there, so he had a lot of these young guys, Bradman Best. I know he had something to do with Blake Brayley, Flano when he was coming through, Stefano. So he does have a relationship with these players and has seen them come through. So this is an example, I think, of maybe, we're going to give a guy an opportunity and see what he can do at this level, because there's no doubt about his potential. He had a wowzer of a game on the weekend, Bradman Best, and his potential has been there. Ever since he came into first grade, he's a big strong ball carrier. Defensively, he's sound. He's fast. And like we talk about the Tigers letting Stefano down, the Knights probably over the last few seasons, it's for a young guy, Bradman Best, learning his trade with an inconsistent team, it's hard for all that potential to be realised. Yep. But Freddie's certainly seen that potential in the juniors and knows. Has known him for a long time, so he's got an opportunity here to show everyone what he can do at that level. But again, there's a lot of Sifa Talakai got picked last year for one game. Tony Staggs, Tago from Penrith.
Yeah,
Isaac Tago.
He had a blinder on the weekend.
He's a left centre. He's a left centre too.
Is he? I wonder about his eligibility.
He's played for Samoa.
Yeah,
but I think he's a Penrith junior.
Yeah, I thought he was from Mount Druitt as well.
Yeah, so did I. So I'd love to see where he's pledged his allegiance, because if he's in New South Wales, I'll be picking him straight away.
He was phenomenal on the weekend.
He was the difference.
I know this is a bit off track, but how good were Penrith on the weekend?
Oh, mate.
Down there in Melbourne.
To be down 14-0.
14-0, and then not just win the game, they end up pretty dominant.
Yeah.
Boys, what about the subject of Freddie Fittler? Is Freddie Fittler playing for his Origin coaching career, or
I think he's coaching for his Origin career.
Coaching for his Origin career, or do you think he's done?
He's playing for it.
Well, the only thing that I do say he's coaching for his Origin career, but my biggest thing is who you're going to put in if he does get the Rissole.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So
I don't know who's they're talking about. People want Sticky, want Gus. Like Gus was a while. Like Gus is the greatest ever New South Wales coach we've had, but he was 20 years ago now, wasn't he?
Yeah, or thereabouts, yeah.
And then Sticky's coaching Canberra at club level. I think they've changed the rule where club coaches can't be Origin coaches.
Hang on, they can't be, or I
I don't think it's hard and fast.
I
They
didn't think it's a
can't
hard
be,
and fast
but they
rule.
prefer like this. It's such a big beast now. There's more than just coaching the team for 3 games.
Yeah.
There's 12 months of promotional stuff. You got to work with the
systems,
sponsors,
the kids.
Yeah. So I think there's no doubt.
You know who'd want to do it if he got paid well?
Maroon.
Gal.
Gowser.
By the way, boys, Isaac Tungor, St Mary's Junior.
St Mary's
Oh,
Junior. There you go. So
Wow.
that's an interesting one.
Mm.
Wow.
Well, again, like Woodsy says, it's a good point. Like, you can't just get rid of a coach if you don't have a guy who's going to step in or a girl who's going to step in to do that role. I would just say, like, no matter what, there's going to be a review of everything that happened during this series. After every loss, win, you do a review. But, you know, the fact that we really weren't close in game 1 or game 2 or, you know, in the series. We haven't been close in the series.
No.
And the selections have been a lot of talking points.
Well, it's just going to mean, like, everything will be reviewed. The camps, where they went to camp, you know, how they were, like, what was structured, the training sessions,
you know,
the games, the prep, everything will be under review for sure.
You talk about the structures, Wader. You can tell that they've been under a lot of pressure because remember when Freddie first come in, he'd have media at the session for the whole day, and then they could get any player after the training sessions. So every player, like when we were in Origin camp, you can only get like 2 players will be up each day. They can talk to the prints, talk to the media, and that was it for that day. Whereas when Freddie first got in there, every player was up for it.
Yeah, and every day.
Every day. No one could knock it back. And then this year, journos, from speaking to the boys that have been there, are only allowed to be there for the first 10 minutes of the session. They get told to go away, and there's only 2 or 3 players up.
I would like them to open it back up.
Yeah.
Like, and just, you know, you're a player at that level. You know how to talk to the media. And
Especially
and you're
that
not,
big. We're trying to promote the game.
Well, the thing for me is you're not talking to the media, really. What you're telling and who you're talking to is the New South Wales supporters and fans who are coming to support you. That was the message from Freddie.
Yeah.
When I was last in camp with him, it was, you know, take the time to answer the questions honestly and properly because you are talking to the New South Wales supporters and the state. So
they want to hear from us. Yeah.
I would like them to open it back up. And, you know, everyone in State of Origin, it's the nature of the beast. It's got so much interest and public, like the public care about it so much that you want to hear from your players and you want to hear honestly what they're feeling and what they have to say and what are their thoughts on the game. So
I'd love to boys.
I hope they do open it up, particularly here in Sydney, in the Sydney game. Like, we're going to have to do everything to try and get as many New South Wales supporters through the gate.
I'd love for Chicka White to take all this gear and let us do a live show at the training session.
Yeah. Yeah, Chicka White, the world famous Triple M producer, but he probably got his other little,
he's got his
other
little
project, the buy round.
Well, you can get the gear from there, and you know,
yeah,
we can take it down to Coogee Oval.
He'd let him hire his gear off him. Hey guys, what about just to
Have you been to the? Sorry, before we move on from his side project, have you been to the other studio?
It's as big as a shoebox.
It's dodgy as, mate.
Where did he get that done?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
I don't know where he found it. Like, what's he looking at? What ads is he looking in to get a studio
What about
there?
the memorabilia he's got up on the wall?
I know.
We'll say that for another day.
Yeah.
I walked in there and I was like, am I in the right place here or what?
So this is
It's like a little dungeon,
the buy round podcast studio.
and it's next to a pub. It's literally 2 meters.
I think that would have been Jimmy's choice.
Yes.
All right, boys, it's just to round off Origin talk. If they are to replace the coach, there was this talk around, you don't hear it so much anymore, that the coach has to have Origin pedigree. Okay, we've established that the coach couldn't be a current NRL coach.
I had 2 coaches that I thought could do it.
Right.
First was Shane Flanagan. He got the Dragons gig, and the next one was Desi Hasler.
Right.
He's got the Titans gig.
So you don't believe that he has to have had Origin
He's got to be
pedigree.
in and around the system. Like Flano was the assistant coach for
he was
Origin for
assistant
a
coach
few years.
when Bellamy was coaching.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see Bellamy.
Yeah, because that's unfinished business. He coached, what was it, 1 or 2 series, and he didn't get a win.
No.
But he also said he hated coaching against his Melbourne players. So
They weren't just any Melbourne players.
yeah,
They're the best players in the world.
future immortals, mate.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Club news, there's plenty of it about the place. The rugby league world is, well, especially the Tigers and Dogs fans are reeling after their teams were beaten by such big scores over the weekend, and both of them to finish on 0. But starting off with the Tigers game, with the Cowboys beating them 74-0, you know, for both these clubs, Tigers and the Dogs, there was a lot of positivity. There was a lot of to look at. I thought, especially with the Dogs at the start of the year. But I just can't fathom, as a bloke who'd never played the game at any level, Woodsy, how you could be beaten 74-0, like the Tigers were, at like 74, yes, that's bad enough, but you don't even get cross the stripe once.
It didn't look like crossing the stripe either, Maroon.
How does it happen? How are you? How is your head at half time when it's 42-0?
It's probably fallen off. Honestly, and then going to that game, they knew there was going to be revenge because the way that they played against the Cowboys at Leichhardt Oval only 6 weeks prior.
Well, have you seen a turnaround so dramatic?
They reckon that's the biggest ever.
66-18 5 weeks ago, the other way.
Yep. And then Cowboys after that game were horrible.
Would Toddy Payton have just come out as blatantly and bluntly said to them, I want revenge. I want to put 60 plus on them?
No, he wouldn't have done that. He would have just challenged them, I reckon.
Yeah. How would he have done that?
He would have referenced the last game.
100%, because they belittled them.
You can't hide away from that.
The things I would have shown was the way the Tigers were celebrating after their wins. Like, you've seen that Leilua come out and do the WWE D-Generation X because that's what Stafford Toa did. You know, the suck it. And then as soon as he scored his try, he looked straight at him and got him in there. And they just would have just watched it the way that the Tigers... It was like they won a grand final. It was Brooks' 200th game that night at Leichhardt Oval, and it was like a big party when you watched it. And
I remember I was on the bus. We'd played a game and we were watching it on the bus. I just couldn't believe the score, right? And the Cowboys were sort of...
They were close.
They were close and they were patchy then, but they've certainly turned around, turned the corner now. But from the team at the year previous to have 66 points put on them, it was just... that's why I remembered the game as soon
6 weeks ago.
Yeah, 6 weeks ago. And then 74-0 the other way.
How did
and it could have been a lot more. They took drink water off with about 15 minutes to go,
and they didn't score till 15 minutes into the game.
It was like they scored 3 tries in 3 minutes, didn't they? So
I've actually got a story where we've got a hiding by 70 points. In my debut year,
at Cronulla,
at Penrith, sorry,
right,
2008, we went down to Canberra, and it was like sleeting in the warm up. It was like the icy cold rain coming down sideways. It was a daytime game, but it was raining and miserable down there. We went out there and scored the first 2 tries. So at one stage, I think we were like 10-0 up.
Oh, wow.
We were 10-0 up after about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. We lost the game something like 72-10. Incredible. Incredible. I've never been in a game like it since. To be fair, we did have... No, I was 17. Our whole left edge was pretty much under 20 players. A lot of us had debuted.
Who was there?
Joey Paulo was playing on the edge. Michael Jennings was a centre, but he'd only just played, started grade probably the season before. Timmy Grant was playing. Lockie Coote.
Yep.
He was playing on the wing, I think.
Oh, wow.
Reece Wester scored the first try. So it was a young team. And in the second half, it pretty much turned into boys against men, really. And they put us to the sword. And to add injury to insult, I tore my medial in the second half.
In the cold.
In the cold. Had to sit on the bus the whole way home in a knee brace.
17, thinking, what am I doing
with
my life?
Just getting beat by 70 points down in Canberra, trying to warm up.
I've had one at Cowboys. We got beat 66-6.
Oh.
And we lost. So
who were you playing for?
Tigers.
Tigers, yeah.
Yeah, the day before we lost Keith Galloway and Chris Lawrence on our captain's run. We had Corey Patterson on the wing. Sid Leckie was our other winger. Akula. Remember that? He was at Penrith for a bit.
Yeah.
We were in all sorts. We were struggling to field aside, and we didn't win the game, but we won the night afterwards at the Mad Cow.
Well, it's kind of where, say, the Dogs are a little bit. Yeah, there was a good energy at the start of the year, right? But they've lost Kickow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Reed
Thompson's not playing.
Thompson's not playing. They've had their injuries, injuries galore. So they've had a lot of change. A lot of young guys come in, debut. Reed Marnie was playing outstanding at the start of the year, but,
it looks like he's overplaying his hand there, Wade.
Well,
he's getting too involved. He's not giving the ball to the halves at the right time.
It's a long and hard season, right? And when you're not getting the results, He's a little man playing in the middle of the field.
Bashed,
and it's just it's a physical game, and I just think it's it's taking its toll a little bit on him. Like, you've seen with how emotional he was after the game and some of the things he said.
Oh.
It's starting to affect him.
But that's because he hasn't got many big leaders around him.
Well, that's what happens.
They've gone out, so they've paid big money for blokes like Addo Carr. He's a winger. Tavita Pengai Jr., he's a big body, but he's not a leader, And then Kickout looks like a very quiet person. Thompson, very similar. You got kids like Jacob Preston he's
a gun.
But he looks like he's cooked. He needs that, whether he goes back to the bench or have a couple weeks in reserve, get your confidence back up. They got young Moran at lock. Ockenberg is a winger that's playing back row. Like,
They're shuffling the decks.
Avarillo's gone to the Dolphins for next year. Where's his head at? Alamotti's a kid, 18, 19.
But this is a lot of what learning about in the NRL is about.
Exactly.
It's every week. Every week you have to be up. Every week it's a new battle. What happened last week doesn't matter no more heading to this new game, and it's a marathon. It is a dead set marathon, the 27 rounds, and you're going to have these. You're going to have these lulls in form, then you're going to have to battle injury. Yeah, you're going to have to battle injury, but it's a part of learning your craft as an NRL player. It's that old saying, like, you're not really a first grader till you've played 50 games. It's because at about 50 games, that's 2 seasons, 2.5 seasons, you start to understand, hang on, I need to get up every week. I need to be up every week. I need to get up every week. Because
that base.
The moment you're 5% off.
And that's why you look at
even us, you look at Cronulla, we're going well on the table. 2 times this year, we've been off. 2 times we've been put to the sword. Yeah. So it's just it's hard.
And that's why, like we always talk about, you need experience in your side. Look at the good sides. You know, your Souths, your Panthers, Melbourne. They've got good bodies that have battle hard, and they've done it for a long period of time. Look at their middle: Moses Leota, Fisher Harris, Yo.
They charge, those boys.
And they give the other players the opportunity. Like Lenu only playing 15 minutes inside half time, but they're laying the platform early. They're the blokes that are hard and have done it for years.
You know what the good thing is if you're Dragons? This Doggies Tigers thing has taken the pressure right off. No one's talking
they got
about...
beat by 50 on...
I know, but no one's talking.
On Thursday night.
Talking about it.
It's such a good... Like when you get a result early in the week, like Thursday or Friday night game, just watch
How good's having a win Thursday or recovery Friday and have the weekend off, boys?
Watching the carnage unfold over the weekend, it's like, oh, well, our job's done this.
Which of those 3 teams are in the worst position?
I know, I've been at all 3 of them, but...
There you go.
The Woods effect. They should have let the big man go, see?
Well, I want to get off the podcast now.
All right, Cronulla's coming.
Yes, mate, yes. Unbelievable. You've been at all 3 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, you have too, mate. You are the mock. So
I can't disagree.
Which of these 3 teams is in the worst position? Tigers?
I personally think it'd be the Tigers at the moment. But you know, the other thing with the Doggies, they talked about so much promise. They're going to build it on the back of their defence and all this. The players they've brought in, they've been disappointing too.
Who?
The Dogs as well. Yeah. But the only thing with them is they've got Gus on their side. The Tigers don't know which way they're going. They don't know who's coming or going. They've got a new recruiter in who wasn't even mentioned to the head coach and the assistant coach. Is going to be head coach for the next 5 years. So that they're not on the same page in the boardroom. And then the players just look absolutely shot there at the moment. They just look like they have lost all the confidence. You know, they've lost Brooks and Coruscant in the middle. And like I said, you don't know who's even coaching the side. You look at during the game day when they go to the coach's box, you got Benji with the microphone on, with the headset, and then you got Sheensy 2 rows behind him. So who's calling the shots there?
Would that be, while that's not clear to us, would that be defined to the players? They wouldn't be getting mixed messages from 2 blokes.
Oh, you definitely could. If you're in, I don't know what's happening in that inner sanctum, but if we're noticing it from outside in, they're there every day. If you're noticing that Benji's taking a lot more ownership of the meetings and that, then you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what's Tim doing here? You know, is he the head coach or is Benji the head coach?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I haven't, to be fair, I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to the backroom stuff. I watched the on-field performance. I haven't been paying a lot to the coaching the coaching situation. What I would say, you know, with us at the Sharks, you know, everyone's input is valued, for sure, and we lean on our experienced guys like Josh Henne, Steve Price, DJ Holdsworth. He does the attack with Hetty, but Fitzy's the coach. Like, he's the boss.
He has the final say.
He's overriding.
Well, put it this way: are the Sharks going to employ a head of recruiting without speaking to Fitzy?
No way.
Yeah,
just wouldn't. It wouldn't work. It just defeats the purpose of...
You got to have a relationship with the recruiter. You got to know what sort of players you want to get. You're going to be the coach. You want to know what players you're bringing in.
You also, you need to make sure you look at the game the same way. Like, a lot of people don't look at the game the same way, whether it's defensive structure, offensive structure. You got to have
the funny thing is, you hear all these stuff about Gus. Gus is a big attacking man, and then Serrato's huge defensive.
Yeah, well, it's just you need to be aligned. Like your head coach and your recruiter, they need to be on the same page. So they're looking at the same style of player to fit that system, right? basics.
Yes. You know what?
Maybe us
sometimes,
three should get a side together. I reckon it'd be.
Mate, we wouldn't be on the same page ever with this.
Mate,
No,
I-
he can do the game day events.
Oh.
And we'll do all the footy department
yeah,
stuff.
I do
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the corporate stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, we're like, what are we going to? Are we going to get like a state league side or an NRL side? What are we going to get?
Let's get the one over in
Perth.
PNG.
Yes.
Oh no, that's not going to work. We'll get the one in Perth.
He can't get any corporates in PNG.
How do you know I
They've got
can't?
the mines up there,
Mate,
brother.
I can get it. Well, I'll get them in the mine.
Look at you. You're already thinking.
All right, boys. Let's talk about this Titans thing because this is, well, it almost flew under the radar, but Buzz Rothfield points out that now that Holbrook has left the Titans, Tino and David Fafita have clauses, which means there's a window opening for them to leave the club. Do we think this is going to happen? We believe, Wado, that the Raiders have had a red-hot crack at David Fafita. Or are going to.
Yeah,
we know that they already have
They
done
already
in the
have,
past.
and they've already showed interest in the past, as you
yeah.
mentioned. It's interesting to have two of their best players with this clause in the contract because Dave Fee is already got interest, as we've said, and he's getting back to his best, his damaging best when he first came onto the scene and broke into the scene. And Tino, wow, like
You know what I do?
if clubs had money in their salary cap, there'd be 15 clubs lined up for him.
Hey guys, Dragons, you want Ben Hunt? Give us Tino.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
That's the first decision I'll be doing if I was Flano.
yeah. Flano might go all in on him, to be honest.
Mate, he might go all in at Dave Fafita as well.
What if that happened? What if that happened and all the planets aligned except Tino said, I'm not going to the Dragons? That he wouldn't have to go, would he?
No, he wouldn't have to go because
Well, the clause is in his
it's his favour.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's only if he wants to.
Yeah.
But if the Dragons were to go all in on him, and Flano he's good at selling his dream, and his record is good.
He's a winner.
He
He
builds
wants to
teams
win.
up, and they win. Like they get better, and the footy program's always, under Flano's got successful.
A red-hot NRL player, one of the best in the game, Tino Fasumala-Awi, is not going to go to the Dragons, the Bulldogs, or the Tigers.
He could.
Mate, he
they
could.
get him.
Would, should have. If Miani had bollocks.
You know what
If
Flano
Flano gets him, he'll attract other players around him.
That
If
would
he
be-
that's
gets
the big
him,
sell.
That
if
would
he
be
gets
Flano,
him,
but-
would he?
No, that would be Flano's pitch. He'll be, because he had all Flano had was Gow, right? Gow was his centerpiece, and then he started adding pieces. And
Wado,
Tino-
Lewis, Ennis.
Tino, he wants to win. He's a winner. Flano will tell him he can make him a winner. If you come with me, you're my centerpiece. We'll get the players that'll win you the comp, and I'll get you there.
The other thing with Flano,
He'll say it, mate.
Did you
I'm
read-
telling you.
the paper the other day, he's not mucking around. If Lomax wants to go, he's not going to stand in his way. He's already making moves
Yeah,
there.
but he's told Lomax, we're not paying any of your freight.
That's
So,
it.
Yeah.
That's what you need to say, up front and honest.
Yeah, no, I love it. And
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Flano's, but I think and hope he's going to be great for the Dragons. But I just think, with respect to what you're saying, Wado, because you would know better than me, but Gal was already there.
Yeah, he
And-
was there.
yeah.
He was there. But that's what I'm saying.
But Gal's had
That's
the
how.
opportunity to go to Manly.
That's how he would sell it to Tino. Like, look, this is what I did with Gow. Flano straight up, he would just tell the truth. This is what I did with Gow. Gow was the head of recruiting pretty much for a few years. And then, every year we just managed to get another player, develop the players that we had, into a team that was successful. And Flano would say that to Tino. And there's no doubt, I didn't even think of it, but if Hunt wants to go to the Titans, that's what Flano will be pitching for sure. 100%. That's his move. He'll try and, if Hunt wants to go to Titans, he'll go hard after Tino for sure.
So he in that player swap area, there's still Bo Firma there. I know.
He's coming
but,
off an ACL
I know,
as well.
but he is a good.
He's a good player
yeah.
too, yeah.
There's
Great player.
Brimson.
Yeah.
We obviously Fafita it would be a great fit at the Raiders. They seem to have a lot of really good quality forwards, back rowers in particular.
Well, Hudson Young's there on the left. That's
Yeah.
what side Fafita plays.
Whitehead,
So
and then you got
Whitehead.
the Fred.
Whitehead, but
well.
Whitehead's he's our vintage, so he
Yeah.
might be in the studio with us next year.
Yeah, he's going good.
Wade, I've raised this before with Woodsy, and he had to carry on about it like he's never heard it before. But don't you think it's interesting that the Raiders have already had one crack at Fafita, and now they're going to have another crack at him because this window's open. But when South's got Jack Whiten, there was all this carry on. How could they come get our players? Boo hoo hoo. Our season was going so good. He's been here for 12 years. How can they do this? Boo hoo hoo. But now it seems to be okay.
I'm not going to get let up the merry path.
No,
because
you are.
You're a South man, Maroon.
Oh, that is the exact same thing I said, Wayno.
But you made out. You don't remember all the carry on when Jack.
No, I do.
Yeah,
They lodged the. They lodged the. Didn't they lodge a contract with the NRL? Their offer. They lodged their offer. But,
We had nothing wrong with that. We were on your side.
That's the game.
Mate,
It's competitive.
We were on
mate.
your side. We had nothing wrong. Charlie goes back to where we were talking about it. We had nothing wrong with that.
Play on. It's the game.
Okay,
Because he's going from 5 out to centre. He's going to be playing a different position.
right. So you have no. All right, I don't want to go. Then okay, I just thought.
Go on, keep going.
No. If you're okay with it,
What's in your coffee today? Because some of the stuff you've been coming up with.
my point is.
Your
All
point
right.
is
Are
don't
you
pick on
gonna-
South Sydney.
No, my point is, why was it not okay for South to get Jack Whiten? Why was that not okay? But this is okay.
We never said it wasn't okay.
But they said it wasn't okay.
Well, who's they?
The Raiders, Ricky Stewart, he was blowing up.
So you got a problem with Sticky?
I don't have a problem with anyone. I'm just
but you're
wondering.
blowing up about it now.
I'm not blowing up about it. I'm just saying.
Listen to your tone,
You're
mate. You're getting louder and louder.
You're saying that you don't remember any of that.
I'm not saying that. I said get the footage up because we agreed. Wado and I both agreed. It'd be a huge pickup for South Sydney.
Okay. All right.
But I remember
Yeah.
the blow up and all the commentary around it. Right? It's just this NRL, mate.
Yeah, it is.
It's commentary around it. It's competitive.
It's
People have got mates in media joints.
People win and people lose out of every situation in the game. And, when you don't get the rub of the green or someone goes against you,
You're going to throw the toys out of the cot.
you're going to have a crack. You're
Yeah.
going to have a crack at it.
So, but you guys don't really think, do you, that
I don't think they'll
for
leave.
Sumalawi or
Titans will be
Mate,
silly.
mate.
I reckon Tino, like
Like the thing for
Fleno's the chance of getting him, I reckon.
the thing with the Titans is like
You didn't think freaking White was going to go to Souths, mate.
Ben Hunt would be good for the Titans.
Yeah, and then Tino will be good for the Dragons.
yeah,
Like
but you just can't imagine the Titans coming to the table with that.
but the clause is in Tino's option.
Yeah, of course, yeah,
So
yeah.
If it's up to him, really, like I don't see like he seems happy playing
And
good footy. He's still playing
And from what I've heard,
Queensland and Australia. Like,
Desmond's quite a thorough coach. Like,
Yeah,
from what I've heard with Holbrook, it's a lot different. Holbrook's an arm around the blokes, look after him. Des is straight at the point.
do you think Des would have known that this clause was in these guys' contract, or it wouldn't have even come up?
I don't think
I don't
anyone.
think it would have come up.
I don't think it would have come up at all. He would have
Because
just tried to get a head coaching
the
gig.
way it was kept quiet, I feel like it had
Yeah.
to be a couple of
Hmm.
people at most making the decision in the back room, right? And they wouldn't be.
With the owners.
They wouldn't be across all the black and
contracts, no
white and
way.
the contracts like this.
They would have just been thinking about getting Des,
activation clause,
just getting a big coach before he gets off the market.
I doubt that this detail would have been known.
Hmm.
It's come out in the wash.
Hmm.
It's
Well,
quite a position to be in.
it's a handy, like, for the Titans next year. They got Tino and Fafita and Ben Hunt and Kieran Foran. And if Brimson's not injured, they got quite a good putting.
Well, they haven't got Ben Hunt yet.
Well, the next year though.
He's
No, they haven't got him
still
yet.
Dragons.
He's still Dragons 2 more
We're
years.
just saying
Did he
potential
extend
swap.
it?
But yeah, potentially, yeah.
Because
yeah.
that's the chat before that.
Yeah.
that
Mm.
he wanted
Can I
to go
check
to
your
Queensland.
juice over there, mate?
No, mate,
Come on, buddy.
It's definitely vodka, just like
Yeah.
it is every day. Boys, I think that's about all there is today.
Yeah, I've got to get out of here, guys.
Yeah.
It's quite a challenging few weeks coming up for me.
You're going to be babysitting?
I'm babysitting. I'm
He's got that's
living
the
the
kids'
single
corner
dad
the next
life.
couple of weeks just down here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chicka White can always open a little creche.
Yeah.
Can I bring mine in too?
There's been a few kids floating around the office, I heard. A couple of toys getting left around and a little bit of energy, excess energy.
That's it for us on Footy Talk.